What lurks within the dark past of Vermont? Does the past leave behind residual or intelligent spirits? Or can there be things more darker than what we can see or feel? I'm Tessa Baker, and this is Haunted Vermont. In Montpelier, Vermont, there is a cemetery known as Green Mount Cemetery, where a mysterious statue watches over the dead. However, it may not be just a statue. Green Mount is not your average old New England cemetery. Established in 1854, it's 35 acres, purchased for a bit more than $2,000, are home to a stunning variety of monuments. Visitors love the carved image of Margaret Pitkin, known as Little Margaret. William Stowell's hand-carved stairs, and one of my favorites, Loyal Ned the dog. Ghost hunters have also been attracted by ghostly tales like the story of a small girl who haunts the walkways of the old graveyard, searching for her mother's final resting place. But wise travelers know to avoid too much interaction with one grave site, and the captivating statue of Black Agnes, sometimes called Black Aggie. Black Agnes isn't really black and isn't actually a woman. Sculpted by Carl Bitter, the work of art is actually meant to be the figure of Thanatos, a minor figure in Greek mythology, and a demon who is death personified. The statue marks the grave of John Erastus Hubbard, born in 1847 and died in 1899. A wealthy Montpelier businessman who pulled a fast one by thwarting his aunt's last will and testament, diverting her fortune to himself. It was a move that raised the heir of the city of Montpelier, the intended beneficiary, and forever tarnished his name in the process. The monument which Hubbard commissioned is said to be a source of bad luck or even death for the person foolish enough to mess with it. Consider the story of 3 teenagers who sat on Black Agnes's lap during a full moon, trying to prove to one another how brave they were. They were feeling secure as they all drove home without incident, thinking that they had escaped the curse. A week later, one boy fell, seriously fracturing his leg. Another was the victim of a fiery car crash. The third drowned when his canoe overturned in a local river. But wait, there's more. Vermont isn't the only state with a Black Agnes. There's a similar statue with similar stories in Chicago, and another in a courtyard in Washington, D.C. A figure rumored to have caused pregnant women to miscarry. It is also blamed for the death of a college student. At the grave of General Felix Agnes in Druid Ridge Cemetery in Pikesville, Maryland, there is another Black Aggie. Urban legend says that the statue is haunted by the spirit of a mistreated wife who lies beneath its feet. It's reported that sometimes the statue's eyes glow red at midnight. Oh boy, that sounds scary. As with the statue in D.C., people say that if you are pregnant and sit in her lap, you will miscarry. Word to the wise pregnant women out there, do not sit on Black Aggie's lap. Just don't do it. Some say if you sit on her lap, the statue will come to life and crush you in her stony embrace. And don't speak Black Aggie's name 3 times at midnight in front of a dark mirror unless you want an evil angel to appear and pull you down to hell. Well, that was rather interesting, don't you think? A little legend, a little lore, and a little backstory of what's happened when people have come to sit on Black Aggie's lap. Kind of makes you wonder, though. Would you? Another interesting fact, there is indeed an inscription on the wall framing. The figure from the back contains lines from William Cullen Bryant's poem Thanatos, Thoughts on Death, known to most all literate Americans of the 19th century. Thou go not like the quarry slave of night at night, scourged to his dungeon, but sustained and soothed by an unfaltering trust. Approach thy grave like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down to pleasant dream. The lines suggest that Hubbard did not die in shame, but met his death with a clean conscience. No doubt that the legend is merely that, but the fact is that many people will not tempt fate and sit on the lap of the mysterious Black Agnes. Some of the reported odd occurrences surrounding Black Agnes include glowing red eyes at night, blood-curdling screams, and other creepy noises. Some people believe that the statue was haunted due to the misdeeds and demeanor of Hubbard while he was still alive. Stories were told about a number of people who dared to sit on the lap of Black Agnes only to be found dead later within 7 days. Did greed influence sinister activity in the afterlife? John passed away in 1899 at the age of 53 after obtaining his inheritance. The executors of John Hubbard's will were responsible for providing a monument to adorn his grave in Greenmount Cemetery. William Paul Dillingham, governor of Vermont from 1888 to 1890, took on most of the responsibility for finding someone to construct the odd monument now known as Black Agnes. It was created by Austrian sculptor Karl Bitter, who I had mentioned earlier, who also had run a studio in New Jersey. Joe Citro even had this to say about the cursed grave.
All right, this is the statue that's known as Black Agnes, and it's supposedly cursed, and the curse is this, that if you sit on its lap, if anyone sits on the lap of Black Agnes, very soon afterwards something tragic and horrible will happen. And there are many stories that buttress the legend about people who have taken the dare and sat on the lap and then turned over in a canoe or got wrecked by a car or something like that.
But as you pointed out to me, this is not a statue depicting a woman. But in fact...
Well, it's known as Black Agnes. It's understood to be the Virgin Mary. The notion of the curse is that you're disrespecting the Virgin Mary if you sit on her lap, because nobody was supposed to do that but the baby Jesus. But in reality, it's not the Virgin Mary, nor is it Agnes, nor is it any woman at all. It's actually a man.
There's his name right there.
Well, actually...
This isn't his
The
name?
person who is buried here is John Hubbard, who is a local rich guy. I think the statue is actually death.
Take heed not to sit on Black Agnes's lap, or else suffer the consequences of what could come. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support, head over to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Haunted Vermont, where you can pledge $1 a month or more and receive rewards every month you pledge. Ad-free and listening to the episodes before the public. Pledging more grants you access to the show where you can share your own stories and experiences on future episodes. I already fund another podcast 100%, so I'm asking help for this one. At least season 1 will have a total of 6 episodes, and then it'll depend on funds after that. Thank you for listening.